Okay, good evening, everyone. I could already say it's still a Guten Chodesh. On the other hand, we're getting ready for a Guten Erev Shabbos, so we're in a good place. I just got a communication from Berish that he has for tomorrow morning Shachris 9 guaranteed people. So we need somebody to go. Okay, so Pesach will go there. You'll go for Shachris also? Huh?
7:30 tomorrow.
So I think they called it for 7:40.
7:30.
7:30?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pesach and Saba. Okay, very good. Okay, I'll let him know that. Okay. What else? Tonight after the daf there's going to be a chok, and I had received a few questions about it. The shir last night, what is Kedusha? What is holiness? Your wife called my wife. She can watch it live on Torah anytime at 9.
I showed you already. But you didn't download yet.
No, again.
Okay.
The Wednesday night shir is first put on TorahAnytime.com live at 9 o'clock Thursday night. So when you see on the homepage of TorahAnytime.com, there's a box live. You press live, then in the middle you could show the flyers. There's flyers of Rabbi Melech Biederman, and then you press my flyer, and you could watch that shir live at 9. After 10 o'clock, then it gets archived like the rest of the shir. Okay, we are dedicated by the Fisher family, the Nishmas Basi Bas Robert Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain, and Shama should have an aliyah. We are also learn Lila Nishmas Avram Yishai ben Shmayo Yosef, Refu Shleim for Yomis ben Chaya Sarah, and the schutz of Avram ben Yom ben Ishbamal Yudis and family by Yoel Kugman and family for their Parnasa, Gesund and Nachas, Refu Shleim for Meir ben Chaya Sarah, and for Esther Frau Bas Chana. Also, there was a terrible tragedy in Staten Island today. One of our Zoomers, it's not a regular Zoomer, but Yitzi Powder comes on occasionally. His wife, 43 years old, had a massive heart attack and passed away. At 43 years old, she was, as far as I know, she was completely healthy. And she just had a child not so long ago, so she leaves a little child and a whole family and a very young husband. So I will learn from Mrs. Powder, I don't even have the name yet, but...
I have one soldier who was wounded yesterday at surgery with our friend, Yosef Avichail ben Chana.
Yosef Avichail ben Chana, one of the Chayolim. Okay, we're holding now Mishna Ches and Mishna Tes. So we're continuing, and this is a major source in Shas. A major source in Shas for mida, kneged, mida. You know, usually when I talk about mida, kneged, mida, I usually refer people to Chelik, because in Chelik it says over there that ve'elu she'ein lahem chelik l'olam haba, and it says ha'kofer b'tchias ha'mesim. And the Gemara says that that's a major source for mida, kneged, mida, because if you don't believe in it, you won't get it. That's what the Gemara says over there. You don't believe in it, you won't get it. That's why we make it a point 3 times a day to say, we say, we're from the believers. You know? Count me in the believers. But here we really see the Mishnah is really Mishnah after Mishnah. Shimshon halach achar einav. Shimshon followed his eyes, and lefikach nikru plishtim es einav. Therefore, lo yaleinu, the Philistines gouged out his eyes. Shenema vayachazuhu plishtim the Plishtim seized him, and they gouged out his eyes. Avshalom nizgar b'sha'arai. Avshalom prided himself with his magnificent hair. Lefikach nisla b'sarai. His hair got caught in a tree, and his horse flew from beneath him, and that's when they were able to throw the spears and the darts at him. Lefisha Baal Eser Pelakshe Aviv, and because he slept with 10 of his father's concubines, Lefikach Nitnu by Eser Loin Biais. Therefore, in fatal blows, he was speared with 10 spears. Shenema Sobu Asar Na'arim, and he was surrounded by 10 youths, Noisei Klei Yoav, the weapon bearers of Yoav, Vayakuev Avshalom, they smote him with 10 spears, Vayimisuhu, and they put him to death. Ulefisha Ganav Shloisha Levavais, and because he stole 3 hearts. This is a story that Avshalom had his father write him a letter that there should be dedicated to him 2 judges. And he took that letter and he showed it to 100 pair of judges. Each one, they thought that they were the only ones that he showed the letter to. And that's how he surrounded himself with 200 chashuv judges. So he stole the heart of his father, because his father gave it to him for 2. He stole the heart of Bezdin, and he stole the heart of Klal Yisrael. Leiv Aviv, Leiv Bezdin, Leiv Yisrael. Shenema v'yiganev Avshalom es Leiv Anshe Yisrael, because they thought that he, had the approval of 200 judges. Lefikach, therefore, before the 10 spears, Yoav threw 3 darts at Avshalom's heart. Lefikach niska ubay, there was rammed in him shloisha shvatim, 3 darts. Shenema v'yikach shloisha shvatim b'kapay. Yoav took 3 darts in his palm, v'yiska ein b'leiv Avshalom, and he stuck them into the heart of Avshalom. Now, of course, the Mishna wants us to bring this home and say, everybody wants to have a healthy heart. Eizo avodah shi b'leiv. What's the avodah of the heart? Heavy aymezu tefillah. That's prayer. So when we work on prayer, we're working on the health of our heart. We're going to learn Pirkei Avos this week, by the way. Again, a regular Pirkei Avos share tonight. On Shabbos is from 6 to 7. Men and women, please come. Tell your wives about it. So we're going to learn about a leiv tov. That the leiv tov, a generous heart, is the most coveted of midos. It encompasses everything else. Right? So, and it's not just the heart. This extends to all parts of the body. You see that people have today so many problems with knees, meniscus problems, and hip problems. Right? A person that uses their feet to do mitzvahs, scharpsias, coming to shul, doing acts of chesed, right? Everything, there's a mida kneged mida on everything. There's a mida kneged mida on the ears, there's a mida kneged on the head. There's, there are people that are depressed. They have to ask themselves, what am I using my head for? Getting depressed. Well, what am I using my head for? These are all mida kneged mida. Now, the Mishnah says that it doesn't only work for bad. V'chein le'inyan ha'tova, also on the side of reward. And again, sometimes it doesn't happen for decades. That's why it's not always so recognizable. Miriam himtina l'Moshe sha'achas. Miriam waited for Moshe Rabbeinu when he was put in the water. So she waited to see what was going to happen. You have to understand that the plan of putting Moshe Rabbeinu in the teva, in the water, what was the end game? What was the end game? There was no food in that teva. was going to drift out. It already drifted out 400 amas. So what was the end game over here? The truth is, there was no end game. The only thing is that I would imagine the hope was that what actually happened, that when they put the teva in the water, the astrologers said that the Mashin Shel Yisrael went into the water already. So they stopped drowning anybody else. So I guess the plan was to put him in and wait and try to retrieve him back. Right? But what happened was Bisya came, and Bisya took. It was very important that Miriam was waiting there, because we know Moshe Rabbeinu wouldn't nurse from any of the babies, because Moshe Rabbeinu pesha asel l'daber ma'ashchina shebiyonik min atamei, and Miriam was there to suggest a wet nurse, and she suggested Yocheved. Can you imagine? What a wet nurse. Yocheved was 130 years old at the time, but she was able to nurse Moshe Rabbeinu at 130. The bigger pella is that at 129 she had Eldad and Medad, and she was able to nurse twins. I always felt that that's the reason why they were called Eldad and Medad, because it was celebrating the fact that she was able to nurse at 129 Eldad to one breast, or Medad, and whom also from a breast, right? So it was celebrating that she was able to nurse at 129. The Eldad and Medad she had from El Tzafon by Parnach when she separated from Moshe Rabbeinu, but that's from Amnon, but that's another story. So Miriam imtina l'Moshe sha'achas. Miriam waited for Moshe 1 hour. Shenema v'teitzatza v'choyse mirachak. Lefikach nisakfu lo Yisrael shiva yomim b'midbar. Therefore, Klal Yisrael waited for her 7 days when she had the tzaras. That's 3 million people waited in honor of Miriam. Shenema v'amloi nasa, and the nation didn't move adhei asif Miriam, until Miriam was gathered in, when she was finished with her tzaras. Now take note of this. How long a from the reward and the act? The act was when Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Moshe was 80 when he left Mitzrayim. And the tzaras was later than that, in the Midbar. So the reward didn't come till over 80 years later. Reward doesn't always come right away. If it comes right away, then everybody would see it. There would be no novelty. Yosef Zacha Likbaras Aviv. Yosef merited to bury his father, was the whole thing, right? He got Paro. He told Paro, listen, you have to take out my father. When Paro said, he said, I swore. And he said, look, if I'm going to break this oath, then I swore that I would never tell people that you don't know how to speak Hebrew. I'll tell people you don't know how to speak Hebrew. Right? So the Ein Be'echav Gadol Mimenu, and he was the greatest. Shenema Vayal Yosef Likbaras Aviv. So Yaakov was buried by the viceroy. Vayali Moy Gam Rechev, Gam Paroshim, chariots and cavalry. Milana Gadol Mi Yosef, who was merited more than Yosef, who buried Yosef. Vayikach Moshe Atzmas Yosef Imay. Shalei Nisasik Bayala Moshe. Now, even though Moshe didn't finish it, he didn't bury him in Shem, because Moshe Rabbeinu never went into Eretz Yisrael. But Hamascha b'mitzvah, he gets the credit. So Moshe Zacha b'Atzmas Yosef. Moshe Rabbeinu did Atzmas Yosef. Ein bi Yisrael Gadol Mimenu, and there was nobody in Klal Yisrael bigger than him. Shenema v'yikach Moshe Atzmas Yosef Imay. Me Gadol Moshe was greater than Moshe. Shalei Nisasik Bayal Hamakam. Hashem buried him. Shenema v'yikbar Oisoi v'Agai. Hashem buried him in the valley. Now, although as the Tosfos Yom Tov says, Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem was oisik in his body and in his neshama. However, but by other tzaddikim, even though Hashem doesn't bury the body, but Hashem comes to greet their neshama. V'lo al Moshe bilvad amru, not just Moshe Rabbeinu, el al kol tzaddikim, all righteous people, shenemar v'holach lefanecha tzidkecha, your righteousness will go before you. Kvoid Hashem yasfecha. The honor of Hashem yasfecha will gather you in. So Hashem greets the neshama of all tzaddikim after 120. I just want to say again, we can't talk enough. Really, we can't knock into our minds enough about mida kneged mida. It's always something to think about. Now, I was reflecting, I was by Berish today, we were talking about the shul. My wife and I came to Fairways a year before, and we had a meeting with Balabatim in Fairways, and the maskana of the meeting is that the people didn't want a rabbi. They didn't want a rabbi. They're all already have their own rabbis, and of age where they don't need a rabbi. Okay? They don't need a rabbi. So I left Fairways. As a matter of fact, we looked into a shul in Tom's River, and we almost bought a house with an existing shul in Tom's River. I had a meeting with the people in Tom's River, and they were very, very excited. Anyway, but I came back here, and by that time already, there were people that wanted a Rav. And I started giving shir by Rabbi Yafi, and speaking over the phone. But what's incredible is that we look back at this house. It waited for us an entire year. An entire year. People, a very short time afterwards, if they waited 2 hours, they lost the house. 2 hours. Gedalia tells me, at One Valley Stream, he had to bid, the agent said, bid what you could afford. Because if you don't bid what you afford, you're going to lose the house. Huh? You were between them. Yeah, I think also Nachman Chapler was also involved. Yeah.
Yeah, Nachman tried.
Yeah. But this house waited for us for a year. So I was thinking about it. In my home at 151 Rupert Avenue, we always gave our basement. I had a shul, of course, they're good of Staten Island, but we always gave our basement for tzarchei tzibur. I had what was called in the shul, for people that couldn't walk to my shul, I had Friday night a minyan called Congregation Basement. And people davened in my basement. My wife, my Rebbetzin, Aleh Shalom, had what was the biggest Tillim group at that time in the world, always in our basement. And she didn't just have a Tillim group. The Tillim group started at 8:45. It was full. Then after the group left at 9:30, she had another Tillim group, and then a third shift. And that was every Monday night. I have no idea how many thousands of times Tillim was said in that basement. And it could very well be that mida kneged mida, we have this shul in the basement. It could very well be. It's very well be. I'm doing Mishna Yomis. This is my second time Barabim doing Mishna Yomis. The first time where I said Mishna Yomis from Brachas to Uktzin, I said it for Kol Lashon. And it was during the 2.5 years that my wife was struggling with pancreatic cancer. And I remember that I myself was awed. We would be 7 hours in chemo, and I would come back, and it would be a hard negoim. And I would say the Mishna Yomis 1 o'clock in the morning. And myself, I was mishtoimim, where I got the koyach to do it. And I think to myself that I used to bring Rav Moshe the Mishnayos. And I used to always bring him the Mishnayos. And the mida kneged mida is, to me, it's clear. And I have to tell you, if you'll look back on your life and make a little mida kneged mida notebook, you'll be amazed to see the mida kneged mida in life. And it's a very big thing, and it's a very big thing to look forward to this. The mida she'adam mided in life. So again, with that, now we're covered because Mincha Berish is going to daven here in Shul, Mincha Friday, and then he's going to go out and come back in for us to be Menachem Avel. And Marav, he's going to daven here because he's going to stay by Shalosh Shudas. To leave would be Avelis B'fer Hesia. And Sunday morning, we just need to have a Shachris by him, so we'll work on that over Shabbos. Thank you very much for joining us. Reb Chananya ben Akasha Maratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu